Pack to the Future is brought to you by The Ticket King. Whether you're making the trip to see Aaron Rodgers and the Packers play at legendary Lambeau Field, you want to see Giannis and the Bucks at the beautiful Fiserv Forum, or the Badgers, Brewers, or any concert tickets you might need, The Ticket King is your source no matter the occasion. Visit them online at theticketking.com and search their selection for yourself. And remember, there's no such thing as a sellout when you can go to The Ticket King. One more time, that's theticketking.com.
Check New York Bozo! New York Bozo! New York Bozo!
I got to get my biceps a little bigger.
Yeah, you can always work on that.
Or I could sure use a hot dog with chili.
You know what time the game starts? Hey, you got any left-handed footballs? We need to fire him. Is anybody else tired, or is it just me? Good thing I'm in shape. You got any eligibility left? I got some advice for y'all. Take 2 weeks off, then quit.
Welcome back, Packer Nation, to another fantastic, scintillating victory edition of Pack to the Future podcast. Goodness gracious, I love victory podcasts, Danny.
Oh yeah,
it's like, and when you beat the, listen, this is how our season started, man. The Packers have beaten the Bears and the Vikings to be 2-0 right now. Get the frick out of here, dude.
I'm with you.
I mean, that's gotta do something to you. I mean, give me a yeehaw or a woo-hoo or something. Dude.
Oh, I know we're all feeling it. We're feeling it, but it's early, so I don't want to jinx it. It's a long season.
You know what? That's fair. I mean, I am the, maybe just start calling me the Packers optimist, because
that's true.
I don't know if I picked the Packers to lose on an episode of Back to the Future to date. And I think I picked them to win the Super Bowl every year. So,
yep.
it is what it is, man. But, holy cow, that was just, the game started off so freaking amazing. And
it really did.
It was nonstop. Everything seemed to be clicking. The defense, it was just there again.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think we kind of had that little discussion last week. Like, is this defense the real deal? And I think both of us are kind of like, I mean, it's kind of looking like that. And I mean, I think you look at it and you see that the Vikings have playmakers, for sure. I mean, Dalvin Cook, Adam Thielen, Stephon Diggs. I mean, these are dudes that have gotten the job done, like, every time they play the Packers. And if Jair goes for he defends the pass instead of going for the pick, Stephon Diggs goes for a goose egg in that game.
Yeah, you're probably right.
And that's insane, man. And I thought the craziest thing about that too, I'm not going to try to ramble too long here because we have so much to cover here. But it's just, he makes that one play, dude, rips off his helmet, starts swearing at Packer fans. I'm the man, blah-da-da-da. And I was just sitting there thinking to myself, I'm like, I am so grateful that we don't have to deal with that stuff on a weekly basis.
Yeah.
Like, it's, and I think that just comes down to a culture thing in Green Bay, man. I think that these players, like, know what it is to have that G on their helmet and know what this team represents. And the team is bigger than these players. And the Vikings don't have that culture, in my perception. I mean, do you have any thoughts on that, Danny?
I mean, I think some of it might have to do with the fact that they're the smallest. They're the smallest market team in the league.
Yep.
And I think that actually, gets overlooked easily, or it just becomes a little fun fact. But I think it actually it shows up and what you're talking about. I think it does have something to do with that they and just the way that Lambeau's built, Lambeau Field, and like as others I've heard have said. I think it was actually Adam Thielen maybe in an interview. Don't quote me on that, but just mentioning like playing at Lambeau Field. It's just you go to all the other stadiums in the league, and it's like there's advertising everywhere and like all this stuff. Like it's all such big media entertainment, and you come to Lambeau, and it's just like football. There's not a whole lot of ads everywhere. It's just fans in the stands and football on the field, and that's what's going on.
I mean, you see Lambeau Field for there's like a 20-mile radius that you can just like see Lambeau Field because it's taller than anything in Green Bay.
Yeah, seriously.
And you just can't help but stare at it every time you drive by, and you think of like all the greatness that's happened in that stadium. And I mean, the Vikings have had a rough go as far as a franchise go, but I think that the teams that kind of lost that team just essence, like this is bigger than me, you know what I'm saying? And a lot of that's just it's been lost, and I think that showed on Sunday. And the good guys came out on top. Packers are 2-0, and this is the way you want to start the year. This is the exact way you wanted to start the season, and the defense is real. Rodgers was making some throws, dude.
He was throwing some darts.
Yeah.
I mean, it's been a while since we've seen him look that crisp and that sharp.
Yep.
For more than just like a series here or there. I mean, it was quite refreshing to see at least for the first few series, and then after that, it seemed to go off script and didn't exactly go as we had hoped. I mean, it was like they rattled off 21 points, and then it was like, and okay, that's it.
That was it. You're waiting for like the other flurry to start, and
but the way that they started, I was like, oh, they're for sure going to score 30 points today, at least.
Yep.
But hey, you never know. The Vikings have a defense too. Those guys are studs.
Oh man, I could not agree more. There's particularly one player on that roster, the defensive side of the ball, that I would take on the Packers any day, and that's Harrison Smith. I think that dude just, I feel like he's a household name for the most part, but he just, I don't think he gets enough credit.
No, I think among football fans, like real football fans, know Harrison Smith. They know he's one of the best safeties in the league. He's a wrecking ball out there. But yeah, he's not the household name type. Yeah. He's not maybe considered a superstar in the league, but he's a star player for sure.
And Kirk Cousins, definitely one of the better quarterbacks in football.
One of the better paid quarterbacks, maybe.
Oh, Danny, I have broken the seal. I have added the can laugh to our podcast. So.
Nice.
Oh, it was back to back too. It was real. It was excessive, but this is not good for you guys. But I'm going to do my best to kind of keep it in check a little bit. But dude,
right.
Very, very, very impressed again. This is Matt LaFleur. This is the debut season, man. I mean, he's never coached. He's obviously never been a head coach before, and there's so many moving parts to, like, you have so much responsibility when you're an offensive coordinator, but when you're the man, like, I felt like he's handled, and the press just keeps coming at it, man. They keep coming and coming and coming, and I think that he's just done such an amazing job in that aspect too. So many compliments for Matt LaFleur so far and what we've seen from him, and I think that again, as you stated, this is very early on in the season, but I'm just going to give Matt LaFleur a quick shout out because I really think that he's done a fantastic job so far. Pettin as well. Coaching's won us games, dude.
Yeah, and I think they're only gonna get better as the year progresses. I think, when you put it in context, like you said, LaFleur, this is his first time as a head coach in this league. I think it's only his all of last year and then 2 games this year, so 18 games that he's been a play caller.
Yep.
In the NFL, he hasn't been a play caller, calling all the plays before. So he'll figure it out. Clearly what we saw early in this game, and based on what you hear from the players coming out of camp and coming into the season, they all speak highly of what he's doing and what he's put together and their play calling that they've been doing in practice to get all the reps with that and get used to all of it. I don't see any reason why we're not going to see more good stuff.
Yep. And you have a Joe Flacco-led Denver Broncos coming into Green Bay this week.
That is right.
And honestly, I was watching the Bears-Broncos game. I don't know how it slid under the radar for me, but I did not know that Joe Flacco was playing quarterback for the Broncos, and I'm like, what?
Yep.
But he didn't look bad. He's an okay quarterback. He's definitely not the worst.
No, he's kind of a middling quarterback. I don't know. He's one of those guys or one of those quarterbacks where I'm like, I want to believe that he's better than what he's been, putting on film for whatever reason for the last couple seasons. But maybe it's age, maybe it's who knows what's going on with the guy. But you look at the early part of his career and him and Matt Ryan coming in the same year, and they were basically the first 2 rookie quarterbacks that we saw that were thrust into it early on and performed so well that now the trend has become when you draft a rookie quarterback in the first round, it's expected that kid's going to start at some point before somewhere around the midpoint of the season, if not earlier.
Yep.
Whereas before Joe Flacco and Matt Ryan had that kind of success, you drafted a rookie, that kid sat on the sideline with a clipboard and an earpiece for his whole rookie season, unless there were some crazy injuries.
Yep. And now you look at the expectations of obviously this is a special scenario, but I did just a quick shout out or point to add to that would be, I don't know if you saw that clip of Jared Goff just waiting for Sean McVay to send him in what the defensive setup was, and I'm like,
right.
That's crazy to me, man.
Yeah, crazy that they just paid him all that money
to be like the ultimate puppet. The
thing they have going for him is the fact that Sean McVay is not gonna have any season-ending injuries on the sideline. So, so as long as they've got that earpiece and they can hear, as long as he can hear him in his helmet, he'll be just fine.
I'm trying to think of who's coaching the Broncos at this point. I know
Vic Fangio, man.
Oh, Fangio, yep, he came over from the Bears.
Yep.
So that's obviously going to be the Packers play some defenses early on in this campaign. So when you see the offense, that's why that 21-0 start on Sunday caught me off guard because I'm like, man, this defense that we're going up against is it's legit, dude. And you go up early like that, and you just feel good, and then obviously things kind of they slow down. But we're going up against another solid defense, and how are you going to try to? If you're LaFleur, how are you going to try to attack this defense?
Well, I think it starts with kind of doing what he did this week. I heard today that typically a coach might script maybe the first 15 plays or so, and I guess LaFleur, they say, likes to script out like the first 20 plays, which, like, when you look at the Packers-Vikings game, it's like, yeah, and those plays were working. And then it's like, I haven't gone back and like counted, but it's like, it seems like once those scripted plays were done, things kind of broke down and we didn't score any more points. So whatever they're going to put together, I expect they'll probably get off to a fast start, which, you know, in past years, you've always heard Rodgers talk about the importance of that and like how that's the way he likes to operate. It's like, we got to get out. And in the past, it was probably even more so because he knew that he didn't have the defense that he has now.
Yep.
So the urgency was always like, we got to get out to a fast start, because if we start getting behind, we're just never going to be able to catch up. But now that they do have a defense, like I think I predicted last week, I thought that the Packers would get 1 or 2, ended up getting 2 picks in that game on Cousins, 2 extra possessions on offense. We'll see, but yeah, like you said, this Broncos defense is still good. It's not what it was, back when they were in the Super Bowl. But they still got Von Miller. They still got some good, I mean, that D-line's still decent. They're still going to get after Rodgers. And, I mean, we still have yet to see, right? I mean, we saw in that Vikings game, after those first 21 points, all of a sudden, Vikings were getting some pressure. Rodgers was getting sacked. I mean, we'll see what this O-line can do. I mean, it starts up front, as they always say, and I don't know. That's like my biggest thing with the Packers. I feel like for the last like several years, besides like the horrendous defense and secondary, has always been like the O-line play.
No,
the tackles have always been solid if they're healthy, but outside of that, it's just been like musical chairs at the guard positions.
Yep.
And trying to find somebody that you could plug in there and like stick, like somebody that just works, and I just haven't been able to find it.
Yeah, since Lang and Sitton left Green Bay, it's been, like you said, just a revolving door of guards. And, you know, Lane Taylor had call it like 1.5 good seasons of just like high caliber guard play. But after that, he was in and out of the last game, man. And I honestly, I haven't seen enough from Billy Turner to be like, okay, what exactly does he bring to the table? But I know that he hasn't looked, you know, amazing.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like you said, this another great front seven coming at you. And these early season tests I'm always down for, because this is going to give you a nice gauge as to where things could be at. And it gives these guys the ability to go up against some of the better teams, so that when you get to that point where it's like, all right, you can just keep crafting, because you're going up against the best at this point in the season. And it forces you to just get in that mindset right away. Like, hey, like this is not going to be easy. And I think it's just going to make these guys better, I think, as the year goes on. You know, and I think I mentioned him last week, but Jenkins we still have yet to see like what exactly he has. But at least there's depth. I guess you can call it unproven depth, waiting to come in, possibly.
Sure.
But depth is always a good thing. And I guess just real quick before we get into what we think the score predictions might be, is just Kenyon Drake is Packers have been linked to at least calling the Dolphins about him. And I mean, do you have any thoughts on that?
I mean, I guess either way wouldn't surprise me. I wouldn't be surprised if it's just out there to be out there. Gutekunst's just turning over every rock, you know, showing that he's interested just to see. Because you're always looking, you know, any good GM, you're always looking to make your team better, whatever that might be, whatever that looks like. And Kenyon Drake, you know, so far as a player has shown he's a good player. He could be a solid running back, but I mean, I also look at the depth that we have, and you feel pretty good about Aaron Jones. You feel good with how he's performed up till now, and now that he's kind of becoming the feature back in LaFleur's offense, But like we've talked about before, just in terms of his durability, injury wise, later in the season, those hits start adding up, and you wonder, is he going to be healthy? And certainly Jamal Williams is serviceable. He's a good back, but I don't know that he's as good as a guy like Drake.
Yep.
So, depending on what the asking price would be and what they're willing to give up, like, do you think Kenyon Drake is as a player, do you grade him out better than what you think you could get in value for like a 4th round pick or a 5th round pick or whatever it might be? And if you do, then maybe you take a chance and you see what he can do. But
no, I share those same concerns about Aaron Jones. Just him taking some, and the thing I do really like about Aaron Jones is that he just, when he gets touched, it's not like he's just falling over to the ground. It's like he's always just turning those legs and trying to get those extra yards. And
he's almost always falling forward.
Yep, and that's something, again, that's like just something that you want to see out of a running back, but at the same time, it's like, these guys, you see the defensive linemen nowadays, and they're massive compared to where the league used to be. And the guys are bigger, faster, stronger, and obviously things will come in. They'll take you. I think I said it last week where Roquan Smith was dropping all his weight on Aaron Jones anytime he had a chance to, and Jones goes over to the sideline and he's like, I think he just had to sit down for a second. He's like, man, like this is, and that's the questions I have about the durability. Like I wouldn't want the Packers to go out and get Drake to come in and be like splitting snaps with Aaron Jones, but to have that type of a back with, and he's like you said, he's still a little bit. You don't know what exactly you're getting in Kenyon Drake, but it's interesting. I don't want Kenyon Drake to take up too much time because there's probably a higher chance than not that he doesn't come to Green Bay. But it's definitely something worth noting. So with that being said, Danny, do you have a prediction for what's going to go down on Sunday?
Yeah, I'd say before I give a score prediction, just kind of how I think it might go. I think the Broncos defense is still they're still solid. They're not the great defense that they used to be, but they've still got some players. Their secondary is still decent. And the Packers offense is still growing, evolving, figuring stuff out. So I think kind of those two factors combined, I don't know that we're going to go in there, the Packers expect to go in there and just kind of, or go into Lambeau and just kind of run them over. But I also don't think the Broncos are going to shut Rodgers and company down. And I think that as much crap as Flacco probably gets for being mediocre, and the Broncos haven't been that great on offense. We saw last year with Case Keenum there that experiment didn't go so well. But Flacco had 50 pass attempts last week. I don't know if he's going to be I don't know if they're going to try and throw the ball that much this week. Yeah. But they've got, I feel like part of that probably is the fact that if they can't get their running game going, they're going to lean on the fact that they've got Cortland Sutton, who's showing out that he is a stud wideout, a young stud, and Emmanuel Sanders. People forget about him because Peyton Manning's not there, but he's a solid.
That touchdown grab, in the fourth quarter was noise.
He's solid. Like I look at a guy like Emmanuel Sanders, and I see him as like he's a better version of Randall Cobb.
Yep.
He's fast. He's got enough speed, and he's quick. He's shifty and out of breaks, and he's got good hands. So, but I mean, I don't know. We'll see. That's why I'm thinking I think they're going to Broncos will be able to put up some points. My guess is it'll be. I'm being hopeful again in this Packers offense. I want to see at least 30 points. So I'm going to say 31-17.
Okay. I mean, I do really like the fact that we play a team like the Broncos, and because it's going to be a good test for this team, because you're not playing the Vikings and the Bears, teams where that they know that they have to show up and like just bring it full force, and you play the Broncos, and it's like, I want to see this team not be like, all right, well, we're at home, we're playing the Broncos, this is nowhere close to the level that we were playing with these other teams. So it's like, I don't want to see them come out and just play this like, lackluster game where they're not there. So that's what I think having the Broncos now is like, all right, you've played two strong opponents, and now you have to take care of business against the Broncos. So I'm looking forward to seeing them just come out and just play aggressive football still, like just keeping the pedal straight down to the floor and continuing this momentum that they have, because they've just picked up two really nice wins in the season. Ones that people could go, you go back to people making preseason predictions here, and some might have had the Packers starting off 0-2 just based on the opponents that they were playing, but that's not the case. So it's like, keep the pedal to the metal and just keep up this tenacity on D, and again, a strong defense that we're going up against. So you need to find ways to score points against defenses like this. And obviously the Packers had great success in the first quarter, and it was nothing after that. So yeah, I see that changing a little bit, maybe not a lot of it. I like your number at 31, but I'm not gonna go. I'm not gonna say the same number, and I don't think I'm gonna go that high. I'm gonna go Packers 29-16 Packers.
All right, now I'm the optimist.
Hey, we all have our roles, and and sometimes they switch. And Danny, this is going to be your first interaction with my most favorite segment that we probably do here at Back to the Future, and that is our Twitter question segment. And this is a chance where the people that love and bleed green and gold want to hear what we have to say about some issues that they see, or just sometimes they're funny, sometimes they're they're just great questions most of the time. So we're going to start off with Badger Dave. He is on Twitter at Badger_Dave_. And he says, just an observation, it's funner to process victories. And Badger Dave, I could not agree with you more. Losses they can be. I will say this about myself, that I have gotten to a great point where if the Packers lose, I can go about business as usual, which I think it's a big step. And if people haven't gotten to that point, there's no. I am not throwing shade at all, but because losses can be devastating, man. But you look at you win a game, especially one like this past week, and Dan, you'll probably agree with me. It's like you look at what happened this last week, and you come out to this blazing start. We said it, about 15 times this show already, but it's what happened this last game, and then the offense kind of sputtered out. So you kind of process and kind of see what the trends were in that, and Rodgers again may have held onto the ball a little bit too long, and I think the main thing that happened, though, in my guesstimation, was just the Vikings decided they were going to buckle down, and they were not going to be blown out by the Green Bay Packers. They started to get some pressure on Rodgers, and that was pretty much it. But yeah, going back to answer your question here, Badger Dave, yes, processing wins is like, I love it so much more. Optimist. So full circle. full circle right there. Danny, are you a process wins or losses guy?
Yeah, of course. I think it's more fun to process victories. Although I think sometimes when with a victory, no matter how you got that victory, it's fun to win and it feels good to win. So it's easy to overlook. It's easier, I think, to overlook shortcomings and mistakes when you win games versus when you lose. It kind of sticks in your craw, and you become with the loss. I think it magnifies all the mistakes, all the little things that you didn't do right, how you didn't execute, down to individual plays and assignments. And I think that sticks with guys more. So I think when you win, you kind of just move on, and you don't necessarily think, or you're not as critical of those little things that you could fix. So it'll be interesting. We'll see how things continue. But yeah, as a fan, definitely more fun to process the victories.
Yeah, I'm gonna hand this next question off to you, Danny. This is from Nick Allen. He is on Twitter at nallen415, and he says, "Can Rodgers get the ball out like he did the first 3 drives for all 4 quarters?"
I mean, ideally, yeah. I think we've seen vintage Rodgers now. If you go back in time and you watch highlights or you watch film of him, you see him. How many times they used to highlight it. The analysts on TV always talking about how quick his release is, how quickly he can flick it, and
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, ideally, you want to see him be very decisive. You want to see guys running sharp routes. You want to see the offense executing and firing the way that it's supposed to, which is on time. But I think Rodgers has gotten into a habit of having to carry more and more of the burden toward the latter part of the McCarthy era. And so you didn't see the ball come out as quick. He was always trying to look for that chunk yardage, or that, he didn't have the trust or whatever it was that was going on. So he'd hold on to it too long. And the offense would often just kind of sputter out, 3 and out, and then maybe a splash play here or there. But that was it,
Yeah.
So I mean, yeah, we know that he can do it. Now, whether or not he'll be able to do it and put it together for all 4 quarters for an entire game remains to be seen. But I'm hopeful that we'll get to see that over the course of this season as they get more comfortable in LaFleur's offense.
Yeah, like that was a point that I was going to add. It's like, this is still just it's a brand new offense on top of great defenses that we played. So it's on LaFleur to give Rodgers plays that he can get the ball out quick, and it's I think it's the head coach and the quarterback kind of finding that little common ground and figuring out what's going to help beat these great defenses. So yeah, I do think that that's going to be an area that improves a great deal. And I would just like to see Rodgers hit the check down a little more often. That's honestly my only real negative that I would have to say about what I've seen. So probably over the last couple seasons where we haven't really seen high offensive volume is just the lack of checkdowns.
Yeah, I agree.
So yeah, I think that pretty much answers that question in a nutshell. And I am very excited to say this next Twitter handle, because this is freaking awesome. Justin Mills at Night Say Knee. Monty Python the Holy Grail is such a great movie. So Justin Mills, you're winning right now. Congratulations on winning. And you ask, is Gary Snap? So Rashawn Gary, is Gary's snap count going to go above Fackrell anytime soon? And what we saw, he jumped up a decent amount of snaps from the first game to this last game. He was at 6 snaps against the Bears, and he jumped up to 14 against the Vikings. So, I mean, I'm not saying that that's a trend where it's just like going to keep like doubling and doubling and doubling or anything like that, because I think we all kind of understand that Rashawn Gary is kind of one of those projects, kind of like, you draft Kenny Clark at 19 years old, and you're like, okay, we're hoping that this guy turns into something. You kind of see where he's at now, and they progressed him slowly. And so if you take that kind of approach with Rashawn Gary and definitely get him his reps in, I mean, don't hold back on that. But as long as Sackrell's doing a decent job, and you're still seeing those spurts out of Gary, which I'll note one play where it was I think it was a wide receiver screen, and he was rushing the quarterback, and the two D-backs missed the tackle, and he got away from the rush and came back and got the tackle, and I'm like, that's the type of plays that you do want to see from a young guy that's trying to prove himself on this team and this defense that just seems to be a world beater right now. So you want to see those types of plays from him. So I think we're seeing everything that we want to see from Gary, but at the same time, you have a guy like Fackrell who has just he's been there, he's done that. Obviously, you want to upgrade that position with Gary, but he needs some time. You have anything to add about that, Danny?
I mean, I pretty much agree with everything you said. I think he was drafted with the intent of they were going to develop him. That pick to me was all upside. It wasn't based on he's going to be a day one starter and play a huge part, but that they were going to ease him in over time. So, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised by, halfway through the season and beyond that, if he's been doing well with the snaps he's given, that you'll see some more balance with their snap counts. And then if he's playing really well, then yeah, of course, he's probably going to get more snaps than Fackrell. But
yep.
I mean, I'm just happy the fact that we can even be having a conversation about guys at positions on the defense, like they're equally contributing, and that's what I mean. Like,
yep.
we've got options, we've got depth and the rotations. You're not like, oh crap, we got another rotation coming in. Like this isn't our strong rotation here. Yep.
No, it's that is depth has always been the thing that I've wanted to see on this team for a while. It looks like we have depth in areas that have haunted us in the past.
Yeah.
Obviously, minus 12 going down, which we all pray every single morning, every night before we go to bed that doesn't happen. When he got blown up from Jimmy Graham missing the block. Which flows into the next question. The Knights say knee, Justin Mills, back-to-back. Also, why in the name of all things holy do they keep trying to block with Graham? I mean, great question. Danny, do you know why Jimmy Graham is continuing to pass block?
I honestly, if that's really what they're trying to do with him, then no, I don't know why. But I don't think I can't bring myself to believe that they're actually expecting him to be an above average or average blocker. He's never been that for his entire career.
Yep.
It looks like he's not interested in doing that or like trying to be good at doing that. Like, why are you asking me to do that? So I don't know if that's even why that he's being asked to do it. I think he's out there in situations to just pose a potential passing threat, that it could be pass, could be run. Maybe he's in there so that, Rodgers gets to the line, reads the defense, decides if it's a run play, decides if he wants to audible into a pass or, I don't know. But it is frustrating. I get it. It's frustrating to see as a fan when you're like, seriously, like you watch Jimmy Graham try and block a rusher coming, and it's like Jimmy Graham is no small man. Like, you know what I mean? You see Aaron Jones in there putting that block on Harrison Smith, and you're like, okay, this guy can block when he needs to. He knows his assignment. And it's like you see Jimmy Graham out there, and it's like, I don't know, can he not bend over like at the waist or something? I don't get, like he can't get any leverage. He can't get low enough, I guess. But
no, it's one of those things, man. Where I mean, if you're trying to you put him on Daniel Hunter to try to block him, and I mean the dude is just nuts, man. I mean, and that was Rodgers.
Agree.
That was a broken play. Rodgers for some reason decided to make that his backside, his blind side, that was like just a double. a double wrong, and you see him coming around the edge, and I mean, you have a guy like, if that's Voldemort, Anthony Barr coming around, it's like you're almost glad that it's Daniel Hunter, and you're like, okay, just be a little bit nice here, and so it wasn't as bad as it probably could have been, but obviously, great question. I guess it just remains to be seen what the expectations are from Jimmy, just based on the earliness and the all that stuff of the season. But
I mean, they only have so many. There's only so many things you can do when you're facing a D line like Minnesota has, and that's not going to be every single week. But there's only so much you can do after a certain point. Like, your options are basically you either have to have running back in there helping, or you have to have the tight end in there helping out on the edge, which we know Jimmy Graham is not a blocking tight end, or you max protect. But if you do that, then you're taking guys out of, you're giving Rodgers less weapons to throw to get the ball to. So it's however they decide they're going to do it. And, maybe right now at the early onset of the season, they're like, hey, Jimmy, see what you can do. Okay, you can't do it. Maybe they stop asking him to do it.
Moving on to the next question. We got Jeremy at Just Jeremy here. He says, are you guys buying the clickbait about Rodgers hating LaFleur? Because I don't, but I listen to the radio. A lot of people seem to think he's a coach killer now. I disagree. What about you? I know that I personally don't want to get too deep into all this mumbo jumbo clickbait, just as you said. So I don't agree with it, and it's just two guys that are learning each other, and everything's fine. You're gonna have disagreements. And that's just it's clickbait, dude. You nailed it right in the head. To me, it's clickbait. You have anything to add to that, Danny?
My first thought when Rodgers and LaFleur were getting into it and they showed it on TV on the broadcast was like, I was like, this is gonna be media clickbait right here. But I was like, but if it was Brady and Belichick, if it was Brady and any coach, if it was him and his offensive coordinator, it would just be, see, Brady's just so passionate. Oh man, he loves the game. Like, he's just so competitive. That's his competitive fire. But Rodgers does it, and he gets blasted for it. And I'm like, that's all it is. And you got, like you said earlier in the show, like, one thing I like about LaFleur so far, he's just been so media savvy. He's just no nonsense, straight shooter, and just he doesn't even use many words. He just came out and was just like, it's just too competitive. Like, that's the way I want it. It's just two competitive guys trying to win. Like, that's all it boils down to. Like, That's what you want. Like, there's going to be times when you're both just fired up. You're trying to do the right thing, trying to win a game.
Yep. Well, Packer Nation, Packer Twitter Nation, thank you for sending in questions. We love it. Danny, did you enjoy Twitter questions?
I did.
Yeah, I knew you would. And that's. I was excited for you, and I am beyond excited about how this season has started. Packers are 2-0. Denver Broncos coming to Green Bay. Keep the pedal to the metal, as I said earlier in the podcast. Let's go Packers. Let's get the freaking job done again. Let's keep the win streak alive, and let's see how many we can get in a row. I mean, I'm looking at 16. I'm looking at 16. But anyways, we are Packed to the Future. Follow us on Twitter at PTTF_podcast. Thanks for tuning in again. Have a great week, and go Pack, go. Let's go.